Get out of here. Paying bills does not make you family." Those were the exact words my own son Michael shouted at me at our family Christmas gathering right in front of all our relatives. I had just mentioned the $15,000 I spent on him over the last year, and his wife Linda leaned in and whispered in my ear, "You are just jealous of my mother." I smiled, then let them pay the $15,000. That night, I shut everything down. By morning, there were police tears and total chaos. My name is Emily. I am 67 years old. And that night in December, I discovered that to my son, I was not his mother, but a walking ATM. 35 years of sacrificing myself, working as a housekeeper in 5 different houses to support him after his father died. I paid for his college, his luxury wedding. I gave him the money for the down payment on his house, and this is how he repaid me. But let me tell you how it all started. That family reunion was in my own home, the humble little house where I raised Michael with so much love. I had cooked all afternoon roast turkey stuffing Christmas eggnog. The table was set with my best dishes, the ones I saved for special occasions. I had invited my sisters and my nephews. I wanted it to be a perfect Christmas. Michael arrived late as always with his wife Linda. She is a 32-year-old woman who works as a secretary, but always dresses as if she were a millionaire. That night, she was wearing a very elegant green dress and jewelry that I knew she could not afford on her salary. She walked into my house without greeting me, checking her phone as if she owned the place. Michael served himself a plate without asking me how I was or if I needed help with anything. Nothing. He sat down and started eating in silence. I tried to make conversation, asking about his work, about his plans for the new year. Short answers, monosyllables, as if talking to me was a nuisance. It was then that I mentioned that I had been working overtime cleaning houses to save money for their Christmas gifts. I wanted to buy them something special to show them how much I love them. Linda looked up from her phone and looked at me with a contempt I will never forget. "Emily, you are no longer young. You should think about retiring instead of bothering Michael with your money problems." Bothering. That word stuck like a dagger in my chest. I explained that it was not a bother, that he was my son, and that I had always worked to support him. Then Michael spoke, and his words broke my soul into pieces. "Mom, Linda is right. You are always talking about money, about what you spend on us. You seem obsessed with reminding us how much it costs to keep you around. Keep me around. I was the one keeping them. I had spent $15,000 that year alone. Payments for his car, credit cards, his mortgage. My sister Susan, who was sitting next to me, was left open-mouthed. My nephew stopped eating, feeling the tension filling the air. But the worst was yet to come. Linda approached me, and with a poisonous smile, she whispered loud enough for everyone to hear. "Do you know what I think, Emily? That you are jealous of my mother, Sarah. She has real money. She can give us things without reminding us every 5 minutes. You only give to manipulate." The silence was dead quiet. My sisters looked at me with pity. My nephews did not know where to look. Michael said nothing. He did not defend me. He sat there, letting his wife humiliate me in my own home, in front of my own family. I felt the world crashing down on me. 35 years of sacrifices of washing my hands until they bled, scrubbing other people's floors, of eating beans so he could eat steak, of wearing the same clothes for years to buy him what he needed. All that reduced to manipulation, to emotional blackmail. But it did not end there. Michael finally opened his mouth, and what he said was the final blow. "Mom, maybe Linda is right. Maybe you need to understand that paying bills does not automatically make you family. Family is earned with respect, not with money." "Get out of here," I told him then, with a calm that surprised even myself. "Get out of my house right now." Michael got up from the table with an arrogance I had not taught him. Linda followed him, but before leaving, she turned to me with a smile that froze my blood. "Thanks for clarifying things, Emily. Now we know exactly what place you occupy in our lives." The door closed with a slam that resonated throughout the house. My sisters remained silent. My nephews looked at their plates. Susan was the first to speak. "Emily, you cannot let them treat you like that. That boy forgot everything you did for him." But I was no longer listening. In my mind, Michael's words repeated over and over again. "Paying bills does not make you family." After everything I had sacrificed, after giving up my own life to build his, I was not family to him. I was just a nuisance, a hindrance that inconveniently reminded him how much it cost to maintain him. My sister Susan came over and hugged me. I could feel her indignation, her rage at what she had just witnessed. "That boy has no shame. Emily, after everything you did for him, you worked like a slave to give him an education so he could have a better life than ours." The tears began to flow, but they were not just tears of sadness. It was pure humiliation. They had been capable of humiliating me in front of my entire family, of reducing 35 years of sacrifices to simple manipulation. Susan kept talking, but her words reached me like distant echoes. "Do you remember when Michael was little and got pneumonia? You worked 3 jobs to pay for the private hospital. And when he wanted to study engineering, you sold even your wedding earrings to pay for his college." Every word from my sister was like a knife digging deeper. Because she was right. I had sold everything of value I had to invest in Michael's future. I had given up rebuilding my romantic life because no man wanted to take on a woman who put all her priorities on her son. I had lived in the same humble little house for 30 years because every extra dollar went to Michael. That night, after everyone left, I sat in my empty kitchen and cried like I had not cried since my husband died. But amidst the tears, something else was growing inside me. A cold, calculated rage that I had never felt before, because Michael and Linda did not know something very important, something I had kept secret for the last 6 months. Mrs. Eleanor, one of the employers I worked for 30 years, had died in June. In her will, she left me $850,000. $850,000 that no one knew I had.
Not Michael, not Linda, not even my sisters. Mrs. Eleanor had no children, and in her last years, I was more than her housekeeper. I was her companion, her confidant, almost a daughter to her. When the lawyer, Mr. Harrison, read me the will, I could not believe what I was hearing. Mrs. Eleanor had left a letter explaining her decision. Emily was the only person who cared for me with genuine love, without expecting anything in return. She deserves to live her last years with dignity and without financial worries. For 6 months, I kept that secret, not knowing what to do with so much money. I thought about telling Michael about helping him completely pay off his house, about securing his future. But something always stopped me. An inner voice telling me to wait, to observe, not to rush. Now I understand why. The next day, I woke up with a mental clarity I had not had in years. I dressed in my best clothes, that gray skirt I saved for special occasions, and left the house. My first stop was the bank where I kept the inheritance papers. I needed to organize my finances and plan my next moves very well. The bank manager, Mr. Roberts, welcomed me with a smile. He had handled the entire inheritance transaction and knew my situation perfectly. "Mrs. Emily, how can I help you today? I want to cancel all the automatic transfers I have scheduled for my son Michael," I told him with a firm voice. "All of them. His mortgage payment, his car payment, his credit cards, everything." Mr. Roberts looked at me in surprise. For years he had processed those transfers. He knew I was left with practically no money every month to cover Michael's expenses. He had seen how I arrived at the end of every month with crumpled bills from my work as a housekeeper to ensure my son's payments were covered. "Are you sure, Mrs. Emily? These are important payments. The mortgage, the car loan, 3 different credit cards. We are talking about almost $3,000 a month, completely sure. And I want the cancellation to be effective immediately." I signed all the necessary papers. Mr. Roberts explained that Michael would receive notifications from all the banks and companies informing him that payments had been suspended, that he would have approximately 1 week before they started charging him late fees. 1 week. Michael would have 1 week to realize his walking ATM had stopped working. My next stop was a downtown boutique, an elegant place where I had never entered because everything seemed too expensive. But that day was different. I had $850,000 in the bank and 35 years of sacrifices to recover. The saleswoman, a young and elegant woman, looked me up and down when I entered. She probably thought I had the wrong store, that a 67-year-old housekeeper had no business there. "How can I help you?" she asked me with a forced smile. "I want a dress," I told her. "Something elegant, black, because I am going to a funeral."
I was not lying. I was going to the funeral of the submissive Emily of the Emily who swallowed insults of the Emily who believed love was demonstrated by letting herself be humiliated. That Emily had died the night before in my kitchen. The dress I chose cost more than my monthly salary as a housekeeper. Black elegant, with a cut that made me look like what I was now, a woman with power. I also bought high heels, a genuine leather purse, pearl earrings. I left that boutique feeling like a completely new person. That afternoon, while walking downtown with my purchases, my phone rang. It was Michael. For a change, he was calling me. "Mom, I need to talk to you. Something weird has happened with the banks." His voice sounded worried, confused, almost desperate. I smiled as he kept talking.
I got like 10 different notifications saying automatic payments were canceled. It must be a system error. You did not change anything in your account, right?
How curious, Michael, I replied with the sweetest voice I could manage.
And what were those payments for? You know, Mom, the usual ones, the house, the car, the cards, the payments that you help us cover.
Now he said, help us. It was no longer manipulation. It was no longer obsession with money. Now it was help. How quickly words change when something is needed. Michael, last night you and your wife made it very clear to me that paying bills does not make me family. So I decided to stop paying bills. The silence on the other end of the phone was glorious. I could imagine his face, his panic, his desperation as he processed what he had just heard. Mom, wait. You cannot do that. I have commitments, obligations. If I do not pay the house this month, they are going to charge me interest.
The bank can start foreclosure proceedings. And what does that have to do with me? Michael, you said yourself that paying bills does not make me family. So I am not responsible for the bills of someone who is not my family. But Mom, I did not mean what? That I am an ATM. That I am obsessed with money. That I manipulate with my payments. Because that was exactly what you said. Michael's voice began to break. It was the first time in years I heard him like that. Vulnerable, scared. But it was already too late for regrets. Mom, please, we need to talk. Come home, we can fix this. No, Michael, your house is your problem now. I have my own plans. I hung up the phone and turned it off. For 35 years, I had been available 24 hours a day. That too had ended. That same afternoon, I took a taxi to the most elegant hotel in the city, the Grand Plaza. A place where I had only been once when I delivered clean clothes to one of my employers who was staying there. I never imagined that one day I would be the guest. The receptionist looked at me strangely when I asked for the most expensive suite available, an older woman dressed in simple clothes asking for luxury lodging. But when I pulled out my new credit card, the one the bank had given me after the inheritance, her attitude changed completely. It will be a pleasure to host you, Mrs. Emily. How many nights will you be staying with us? 1 week to start. The suite was bigger than my entire house. It had a living room, a bedroom with a huge bed, a bathroom with a jacuzzi, and a spectacular view of the city. I sat on the leather sofa, and for the first time in decades, I allowed myself to breathe without worries. The next day, my phone started ringing nonstop. Michael, Linda, unknown numbers. I decided to turn it on only to listen to the voicemails. The first was from Michael, and his desperation was evident. "Mom, please answer. Linda is very worried. She says maybe we were too hard on you. We can talk, find a solution." The second message was from Linda, and her tone had changed completely. She was no longer the arrogant woman from 2 days ago. "Emily, it is Linda. I think there was a misunderstanding. Michael told me about the problems with the banks. We can sit down and talk like family. Now that they needed money, I was family again." The third message surprised me. It was from Sarah, Linda's mother, the rich woman who supposedly envied me. "Mrs. Emily, this is Sarah speaking. My daughter told me what happened. I would like to speak with you. I think we can find a solution that benefits everyone." Benefits everyone? How interesting. When they humiliated me, nobody thought about benefiting me. But the fourth message was the one that amused me the most. It was Michael again, but this time crying. "Mom, I do not know what to do. Linda is furious. She says it is my fault. Her mom is pressuring her to leave me if I do not resolve this. They are going to take the house, the car, everything. Please, Mom. I know I do not deserve it, but you are my mother. You cannot abandon me like this." Now I was his mother. When everything was falling apart, when he needed help desperately, then he remembered I was his mother. That afternoon, I decided to give myself a luxury I had never had. I went to a spa. I got massages, facials, manicure, pedicure. While the specialist worked, I reflected on my new reality.
For the first time in 35 years, nobody depended on me. Nobody expected me to solve their financial problems. Upon returning to the hotel, I found the concierge waiting for me with an envelope. "Mrs. Emily, a young man came to leave this for you."
He said it was very urgent. It was a letter from Michael written by hand with that handwriting I had taught him as a child. "Mom, I do not know if you were going to read this, but I need to try. I know I was wrong. I know Linda was wrong. We were stressed with many pressures, and we took our frustration out on you. That is unforgivable. But Mom, I am your son. The same boy you hugged when he had nightmares. The same one you cared for when he was sick. You cannot erase all that over an argument. I need you, Mom. I love you." I tore the letter into small pieces and threw it in the trash. It was easy to talk about love when money was needed. Where was that love when they humiliated me in front of the entire family? The next day, I decided to do something Michael would never expect. I went to visit my old employer,
Margaret, an older woman who had always treated me with respect. She was surprised to see me so elegant, so changed.
Emily, what a pleasure to see you. You look splendid. How are you? I told her the whole story. Margaret listened to me carefully, without judging, without taking sides. In the end, she told me something that marked me deeply. Emily, I raised 3 children, and I am going to tell you something I learned over the years. Sometimes the greatest demonstration of love towards a child is letting him fall. Letting him learn what life costs when he does not have mom solving everything. She was right. For 35 years, I had been the mattress that cushioned all of Michael's falls. I had never allowed him to face the consequences of his decisions. He had never learned the real value of money.
Because he always knew Mom would be there to rescue him. That night in my hotel suite, I made a decision that would change everything forever. I called the lawyer, Mr. Harrison, the same one who had handled Mrs. Eleanor's inheritance. Mr. Harrison, I need to consult you on something.
What legal options do I have if someone has defamed me publicly, caused me emotional damage deliberately? Are you thinking of suing someone? Mrs. Emily, I am thinking of protecting myself and ensuring that the people who have hurt me understand that their actions have consequences. Mr. Harrison explained the options. Lawsuit for moral damages, for defamation, for psychological damage, all documented, all legal, all perfectly justified. Do you have proof of what you are telling me? I smiled, because what Michael and Linda did not know was that during the last few months, every time they came home, I had recorded our conversations. I had all their humiliations, all their insults, all their poisonous words saved on my phone.
Mr. Harrison, I have more proof than you imagine. Mr. Harrison reviewed the recordings I took to his office.
His expression changed completely upon hearing Michael and Linda's words, especially when he got to the part where Linda whispered to me about being jealous of her mother, and Michael declaring that paying bills did not make me family. Mrs. Emily, this is more than enough for a lawsuit for moral damages. The humiliations were public, deliberate, and caused demonstrable emotional damage. Furthermore, we have the aggravating factor that you are a senior citizen, which increases the severity of the case. Perfect. I want you to prepare everything. But first, I'm going to give them one last chance to apologize publicly. One last chance. Yes, I want to see how far they are capable of going. I want them to retract everything to ask for my forgiveness in front of the same family that witnessed the humiliation. If they do not do it, we will proceed with the lawsuit. Mr. Harrison smiled. He was an older man, experienced in family cases, and he understood my strategy perfectly. I think it is an excellent idea. Meanwhile, I will prepare all the legal documentation. I left the lawyer's office feeling powerful for the first time in decades. I had taken control of my life. I had stopped being a victim to become the protagonist of my own story. That afternoon, I decided to call Michael.
He answered on the first ring, as if he had been waiting for my call desperately. Mom, finally. I was very worried. Where are you? I have gone to your house 3 times and you are not there. I am in a place where I can think clearly, Michael. Far from the toxic environment where you humiliated me. Mom, about that. Linda and I have been talking. We think we all got exalted that night. Maybe we could sit down to talk. Sit down to talk after what they told me in front of the entire family, after reducing 35 years of sacrifices to simple manipulation. Mom, please.
We are going through a very difficult time. The banks have already started calling. If I do not pay this week, they are going to start foreclosure proceedings. Now you are going through a difficult time. When you humiliated me, I was not going through anything difficult, right? Michael sighed on the other end of the phone. I could feel his frustration, his growing desperation. What do you want me to do, Mom? What do you need so we can fix this? I want you and Linda to organize a meeting. The same family that witnessed my humiliation. I want you to apologize publicly, to recognize everything you did wrong, to admit that your words were unfair and cruel. A family meeting to apologize. Exactly. And I want Sarah to be present too. Linda's rich mother, the one I supposedly envy. I want to meet her personally. Mom, I do not know if Sarah is going to want to come. She is very busy. Michael, either you do what I ask, or you deal with your financial problems alone. You decided that paying bills does not make me family. Perfect. Then I have no family obligation to help you. Okay. I am going to organize the meeting tomorrow night at my sister Susan's house. Neutral ground. And Michael, you better come with a completely different attitude. I hung up the phone and immediately called Susan to tell her the plan. Sister, could you lend us your house tomorrow for a family meeting? Of course, Monica. But tell me, what do you have planned, Justice Susan? Simple justice. The next day, I prepared myself as if it were the most important battle of my life. I put on the elegant black dress I had bought, the high heels, the pearl earrings. I applied makeup carefully and did my hair at the hotel beauty salon. When I saw myself in the mirror, I did not recognize the woman looking back at me. She was elegant, powerful, sure of herself. I arrived at Susan's house exactly at the agreed time. My sister welcomed me with her eyes wide open. Emily, you look spectacular. What did you do to yourself? I found myself, sister. After 67 years, I finally found myself. Michael arrived 15 minutes late as always. Linda came with him, but her attitude was completely different. No arrogance, no superiority. She seemed nervous, almost scared. And behind them came a woman I assumed was Sarah. Sarah was a woman of about 58 years, well-dressed, but not as much as Linda presumed. In fact, her clothes looked expensive, but not new, as if they had been bought a long time ago. Her jewelry also seemed authentic, but worn.
There was something about her that did not fit the image of a millionaire woman that Linda had painted. Emily, nice to meet you. I am Sarah, Linda's mother. I am very sorry for what happened the other night.
Her tone was conciliatory, almost servile, nothing like the arrogance I expected to find. We sat in Susan's living room, Michael and Linda on a sofa, Sarah on a chair, me in the main armchair. My sister stood as a silent witness to what was about to happen. Well, I was told you wanted to apologize. I started with a calm voice. I am listening. Michael cleared his throat, clearly uncomfortable. Mom, Linda, and I have reflected a lot on what happened. We realized that our words were very harsh, very unfair. You have been an extraordinary mother. You have sacrificed a lot for me. His words sounded rehearsed, empty. There was no real emotion, just need. Linda took the floor. Emily, I also want to apologize. I was stressed that night with many work pressures, and I said things I should not have said. You are an admirable, hard-working woman, and you deserve respect. More hollow words. I could see in her eyes that they just wanted to end that charade to ask me for money again. And you? Sarah, do you apologize too? I asked her directly. Sarah looked at me surprised, as if she had not expected to be included. Well, the truth is, I was not present that night, but if my comments through Linda offended you in any way, of course I apologize. Your comments through Linda. Do you refer to when your daughter told me I was jealous of you because you have real money? The silence was dead quiet. Sarah became visibly nervous. Linda looked at her with panic. It was evident there were lies about to come to light. Well, that must have been a misunderstanding. I smiled. It was the perfect moment for the first revelation. How curious, Sarah, because according to my investigations, you do not have as much money as you presume. In fact, I understand that you are quite in debt. Sarah's face turned completely pale. Linda looked at her with horror, as if she had just discovered her whole life had been a lie. Michael understood nothing but could feel the tension filling the room. Investigations, stammered Sarah. I do not know what you were talking about. I pulled out a folder I had brought with me. Mr. Harrison had been very efficient in getting information. Sarah Miller, 58 years old, divorced 3 years ago. Your ex-husband kept most of the assets in the divorce because he discovered you had been spending compulsively and hiding debts. Currently, you owe $200,000 between credit cards, personal loans, and a mortgage loan that is in arrears. The silence was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Linda looked at her mother as if it were the first time she saw her in her life. Mom, is that true? Whispered Linda. Sarah tried to regain her composure, but her voice trembled when speaking. That those are private matters. You have no right to investigate my personal life. I have every right when you allow your daughter to humiliate me using your alleged wealth as an excuse. When she tells me I am jealous of your money, when in reality, you do not even have enough to pay your own debts. Michael finally spoke with a confused voice. Linda, I do not understand. You always said your mom was a millionaire, that she had properties investments. Linda could not even speak. Tears began to roll down her cheeks as the truth crumbled in front of everyone. I continued reading the report. Furthermore, Sarah works as a saleswoman in a department store with a salary that barely reaches to pay the rent on her apartment. The jewelry she wears are imitations bought in thrift stores. The car she drives is about to be repossessed. Enough, shouted Sarah, losing her composure completely. You have no right to expose my life like this. No right. How did you not have the right to allow your daughter to humiliate me based on lies? How did you not have the right to make me feel inferior for not having your supposed money? Linda finally found her voice, but it was barely a broken whisper. Mom, why did you lie to me? Why? Sarah collapsed completely. Tears ran down her face as the truth came out in spurts. Because I wanted you to feel proud of me. Because when your dad left me, I was left with nothing. I lost the house, the cars, everything. But I did not want you to know your mother was a failure. Sarah's crying filled the room. Linda looked at her with a mixture of horror and compassion while Michael tried to process all the information. So, when Linda told me I was jealous of her rich mother, I continued, she was actually defending a woman who is more in debt than I ever was. How ironic. Michael finally reacted, turning toward Linda with fury. Are you telling me we humiliated my mother based on lies, that your rich family you bragged about so much does not exist? I did not know, shouted Linda. My mother lied to me my whole life. But that does not justify what you did to me, I interrupted. Whether they lied or not about their financial situation, the contempt was real. The humiliations were real. The pain you caused me was real. I got up from the armchair and walked toward Michael. Do you know what is the saddest part of all this, son? That while you believed yourselves superior to me, while you treated me like a hindrance, I had $850,000 in the bank. The three people in front of me stood petrified. Michael opened his mouth, but no sound came out. Linda stopped crying from the shock. Sarah raised her head slowly. What did you say? Murmured Michael. $850,000. An inheritance I received 6 months ago from Mrs. Eleanor, for whom I worked for 30 years. Money I thought of using to secure your future, Michael. Money I was going to invest in a bigger house for the whole family. I pulled out my bank statement and showed it to them. Their eyes opened like plates seeing the figure. Impossible, whispered Linda. Very possible. Turns out the housekeeper you despise so much is richer than your whole family combined. The woman who supposedly envied the poverty disguised as Sarah in reality could buy and sell everything you possess 10 times over. Michael stood up abruptly. Mom, why didn't you tell us? Why did you keep the secret? Because I wanted to see who you really were when you thought I had nothing to offer you. I wanted to see if you respected me as a person or just as a source of money. The answer was very clear that Christmas night. I continued, when you thought I was just a poor housekeeper, you treated me like trash. You humiliated me. You despised me. You told me paying bills did not make me family. Sarah finally spoke with a trembling voice.
Mrs. Emily, if we had known, what would you have treated me better? Would you have feigned respect for my money? That is exactly the problem. Respect should not depend on how much money someone has in the bank. Susan, who had remained quiet all this time, finally spoke. Emily is right. I saw how you treated her that night. It was cruel, unfair, and painful to witness. Michael approached me with tears in his eyes. Mom, I made a terrible mistake. I did not know, did not think. I did not measure my words. But I am your son. You have to forgive me. I have to forgive you. Why? Because now you know I have money. Because now you need me more than ever.
No, Mom. Because I love you. Because you are my mother. And I was wrong.
If you love me. Michael, why did you treat me like that when you thought I had nothing to give you? Where was that love when you humiliated me in front of the entire family? He could not answer because he had no valid answer. The truth was evident. His love was conditioned on my financial utility. Linda approached, too completely shattered. Emily, I know I have no forgiveness. I know what I did was unforgivable, but please give me a chance to amend it. How do you plan to amend it, Linda? By returning my dignity, by erasing the public humiliation, by healing the emotional wounds you caused me. She could not answer because she knew some things cannot be undone. I looked at the three of them so vulnerable now, so different from Christmas night when they felt superior to me. Now, you are going to experience something I lived for 35 years. Economic uncertainty. You are going to know what it feels like not to have someone to solve your financial problems.
You are going to learn the real value of money.
What do you mean? Asked Michael, although he already knew the answer.
That you are going to face your debts alone. That you are going to learn to live without the ATM you despised so much. But Mom stammered. Michael, I cannot lose the house. Linda would lose her job if we end up on the street. We have a life built with my money, with my sacrifices. That is not your life, Michael. It is the life I gave you while you despised me for giving it to you. Linda threw herself on her knees in front of me, crying inconsolably. Please, Emily, I know I do not deserve it, but I beg you, we can change. We can be different.
Give me a chance to show you I can be the daughter-in-law you deserve. You already had 32 years to be the daughter-in-law I deserved. Linda, you chose to be cruel, contemptuous, and abusive. Those decisions have consequences. Sarah also approached with desperation in her voice. Mrs.
Emily, I accept full responsibility. It was my fault filling Linda's head with lies about my situation. But please do not punish my daughter for my mistakes. Your daughter is a 32-year-old adult Sarah. She chose to humiliate me based on false information, and she never bothered to verify. She chose to treat me like trash because she believed she could do it without consequences. I headed towards the door, but before leaving, I turned to face them one last time. For 6 months, I kept the secret of my inheritance, waiting for the right moment to tell you. I thought of doing it at Christmas. I thought it would be a perfect gift for the whole family. But you showed me who you really were before I could do it. Michael got up abruptly. Then all this is revenge. You set a trap for us. A trap? No, Michael. A trap would have been faking poverty to test you. I simply did not mention my good fortune. You chose to treat me badly without any provocation on my part.
But we are family,
He shouted with desperation.
family. You said yourself that paying bills does not make me family. Let's apply that logic. Humiliating, despising, and mistreating does not make you family either. I left Susan's house feeling liberated, but also emotionally exhausted. The taxi was waiting outside to take me back to the hotel. During the ride, I reflected on what had just happened. I had exposed all the lies. I had revealed my true situation, but I knew this was just the beginning. Upon arriving at the hotel, I found multiple messages on my phone. Michael had called 20 times in the last 30 minutes. Linda had sent desperate text messages. Even Sarah had gotten my number somehow and left pleading voicemails. I decided to listen to only one of Michael's messages. Mom, please do not do this. I know we were wrong. I know we were cruel to you, but we are your family. We are the only thing you have in this world. Without us, you are going to be alone forever. Is that what you want? To be alone with your money? His words infuriated me more than all the insults of Christmas night. Now it turned out I needed them, that without them I would be alone forever. The same emotional manipulation as always, but now with added desperation. I called Mr. Harrison immediately. Lawyer, proceed with the lawsuit. This very night, I want you to file all the documents. Are you sure, Mrs. Emily? Once we start the legal process, there is no going back. Completely sure. I want you to sue for moral damages, defamation, and psychological damage. I have the recordings. I have witnesses. I have everything you need. Perfect. Tomorrow, I will file the lawsuit. What amount do you consider appropriate? $100,000. And I want it to be public. I want the whole city to know what they did to me.
The next day, the lawsuit was the talk of the neighborhood.
The lawyer had contacted a local journalist, and the story of the millionaire housekeeper who sued her ungrateful son spread like wildfire. My phone would not stop ringing. Unknown numbers, reporters wanting interviews, curious neighbors. But the calls that hurt me the most were Michael's increasingly desperate, increasingly pleading. I decided to answer one of his calls, the 10th of the day. "Mom, please stop this." The lawsuit appeared in the newspaper. "Everyone is talking about us. Linda lost her job. They fired her because of the scandal. Neighbors pointed us in the street. And how do you think I felt when you humiliated me in front of the entire family? How do you think I felt when you treated me like trash?" "But Mom, this is too much. One thing is to leave us without money, but ruining our reputations, our jobs, our lives. One thing is to make a mistake, Michael. Another thing is to deliberately humiliate your mother for years and then expect there to be no consequences. It was not years. It was one night. One night, seriously? Do you think everything started that Christmas night? How many times did Linda treat me with contempt? How many times did you make me feel I was a burden? How many times did you ignore my feelings?" Michael stayed quiet because he knew I was right. The contempt had been constant, gradual, systematic. Christmas night had only been the straw that broke the camel's back. "Mom, okay, I accept we were cruel. I accept we hurt you. But what is your plan? Destroy us completely. My plan is for you to learn that actions have consequences.
That respect is earned, not bought. That treating people badly, especially your mother, is not something that can be done without facing consequences."
And then what? When we have lost everything, when we are on the street, when Linda and I have divorced because we could not stand the pressure, what are you going to gain from that? I am going to gain my dignity back. I'm going to gain the peace of mind of knowing I did not allow them to keep treating me like trash. That afternoon, while drinking tea on the terrace of my suite, I reflected on Michael's words. What was I really going to gain from all this? Was revenge going to return the 35 years of sacrifices? Was it going to heal the emotional wounds? But then I remembered Linda's face when she whispered she was jealous of her mother. I remembered the coldness in Michael's eyes when he told me paying bills did not make me family. I remembered the public humiliation, the cruel laughter, the absolute contempt. No, this was not just revenge. This was justice. This was setting limits after a lifetime without setting them. This was teaching them that even the infinite patience of a mother has a breaking point. That night, I made a decision that would change the course of this whole story. I was going to do something Michael would never expect, something that would hit him where it hurt most, in his public pride. The next day, I woke up with an idea that filled me with an energy I had not felt in years. If Michael wanted to play dirty, if he wanted to manipulate the situation in his favor, I was going to show him what having power really meant. I called Mr. Harrison and asked him to organize a press conference. I wanted to tell my story publicly with all the details, all the proofs, all the recordings. If the story had already appeared in the local paper, better that people heard my full version. Mrs. Emily, are you sure you want to expose yourself so much publicly? Mr. Harrison, for 67 years, I have lived in the shadows, working in silence, enduring humiliations in private. It is time the world knows who I really am. The press conference was organized for Friday afternoon in the main hall of the hotel where I was staying. Mr. Harrison contacted several local media outlets and some national ones. The story had awakened curiosity, a millionaire housekeeper suing her own son for emotional abuse. Meanwhile, Michael had started a desperate campaign to clean up his image. He had created profiles on social media, telling his version of events, presenting me as a vengeful and manipulative mother who was destroying her family over a misunderstanding. His posts said things like, "My mother is punishing us for a normal family argument. She took away all financial support overnight and now is suing us for $100,000. Is this what a loving mother does?" The comments were divided. Some supported him, saying, "I was a toxic mother." Others criticized him, especially when rumors started circulating about the details of what really happened that Christmas night. But what bothered me most was seeing that Linda had also started posting on her networks. She had uploaded photos of herself crying with messages like, "I lost my job over a family misunderstanding. My mother-in-law decided to ruin our lives because we had an argument." Where is the Christian compassion, Christian compassion? After humiliating me publicly now, she spoke of Christian compassion. Thursday night, one day before my press conference, Michael did something I never thought he would do. He created a live broadcast on Facebook to tell the truth about what was happening. I found out because my sister Susan called me upset. "Emily, Michael is broadcasting live. He is saying terrible things about you. He says you went crazy with money, that you were always manipulative, that you were taking revenge because he got married." I turned on my computer and entered his broadcast. There were more than 500 people watching. Michael was in his living room with Linda by his side, crying, playing the role of perfect victims. My mother received an inheritance 6 months ago and told us nothing Michael was saying. Then, when we had a small family argument at Christmas, she decided to punish us by taking away all the financial support she gave us. Now we lost the house. Linda lost her job, and she is suing us for $100,000. The live comments were a mix of support and criticism. Some said, "Your mother supported you for years. You should be grateful." Others commented, "A mother should not abandon her children like that." But what infuriated me most was when Michael started crying on camera. "I just want my mother back. I know we made mistakes, but she was everything we had. Now she is living in a luxury hotel while we are left with nothing. Is that fair?" Linda took the floor, drying her tears theatrically. Emily was always controlling with money. She always reminded us how much she spent on us.
That Christmas night when we told her that bothered us, she exploded. She kicked us out of her house and the next day canceled all our payments. Liar. I shouted at the screen. They were completely twisting what had happened. I saw the comments starting to change tone. More people were beginning to support them, to see them as victims of a cruel and vengeful mother. Michael was very smart manipulating people's emotions. We just want our family to reconcile, continued Michael. We want to sit down and talk, ask for forgiveness appropriately, and find a solution, but she refuses to see us. She blocked us from everywhere. In that moment, I made a decision that would change everything. I created a new account on Facebook and entered the live broadcast. I wrote in the comments, "Hello, Michael. I am your mother. I see you are telling your version of the story. Do you mind if I tell mine?" The broadcast went crazy. The comments started exploding. "It is her. The mom is here. This is going to get good." Michael saw my comment and went completely pale. Linda looked at him with terror. For a moment, he did not know what to do. "Mom, is that really you?" he asked with a trembling voice. "Yes, it is me, and I think it is time all these people hear what really happened that Christmas night." "Mom, please do not do this. We can talk in private." "In private, like when you humiliated me in front of the entire family." "No, Michael, you decided to make this public. I am going to respond publicly." The viewers had increased to more than 1,500. People were sharing the broadcast, tagging their friends. It was like a live reality show. "Do you want to know what really happened?" I wrote in the comments. "Do you want to hear the recordings of what they told me that night?" Michael got up abruptly from his chair. "You cannot do that. Those are private conversations. Private like this broadcast where you are defaming me in front of thousands of people." Linda finally spoke with a desperate voice. "Emily, please. We suffered enough already. People are judging us. I lost my job. We are about to lose the house. Ah, now I am Emily again. I am no longer the crazy manipulator of 5 minutes ago." The comments were out of control. There were people defending me, people attacking me, people asking me to play the recordings. "Michael," I wrote, "do you want to tell all these viewers exactly what you told me that Christmas night? Do you want to repeat the exact words you used, Mom? We already asked for forgiveness." "No, you did not ask for forgiveness. You told me it was a misunderstanding, that you were stressed, that we all got exalted. But you never admitted how cruel you were." At that moment, I decided to do something I knew would be devastating for them. "You know what? You are right. It is better that the recordings speak." And without further ado, I began playing the audio from Christmas night through my computer speakers straight into their live broadcast. Linda's voice sounded clear and crisp. "You are just jealous of my mother. She has real money." Then Michael's voice. "Paying bills does not automatically make you family." The silence in their broadcast was absolute. The comments exploded with indignation towards them. The comments in the broadcast became an avalanche of criticism towards Michael and Linda. What ungrateful children. Poor lady. They deserve everything happening to them. Michael tried to defend the indefensible, but his voice sounded desperate and unconvincing. Those recordings are taken out of context. He stammered. There was an argument. We all said things we regret. I continued playing more parts of the audio. Linda's contemptuous voice saying I was obsessive with money. The cruel laughter when I mentioned my sacrifices. The exact moment when Michael told me I looked like a complaining ATM. Every second of audio was more devastating than the last. The viewers of the broadcast increased to more than 3,000 people. The story was going viral in real time. This is what they call a small family argument. I wrote in the comments, humiliating a 67-year-old mother in front of her entire family. Linda tried to take control of the situation. Emily, I understand you are hurt, but this is not going to repair our relationship. This is only making things worse for everyone. Repair our relationship. What relationship, Linda? The relationship where you treat me like trash and I pretend it does not hurt. The comments were relentless. That daughter-in-law is a viper. The son is an ingrate. Mrs. Emily, you did the right thing. Michael finally lost his composure completely. Enough, Mom. You are destroying our lives. People are attacking us in the streets. Linda cannot even leave the house. And how do you think I felt when they attacked me that night in my own home, when they made me feel like a stranger in my own family? At that moment, I decided to play the most painful part of the recording. The moment when Michael told me to get out of my own house, and Linda's final words. Thanks for clarifying things, Emily. Now we know exactly what place you occupy in our lives. The silence after those words was dead quiet. Even the comments stopped for a few seconds, as if everyone was processing the cruelty of what they had just heard. Then the comments exploded with a fury I had never seen. They are monsters. How can they treat their mother like that? They deserve to lose everything. Mrs. Emily, do not give them a single penny. Michael got up abruptly and tried to end the broadcast, but it was too late. Thousands of people had already recorded clips of the broadcast and were sharing them on all social networks. Before he could close the broadcast, I wrote a final comment I knew would be devastating. For everyone watching this for 35 years, I worked as a housekeeper to give this man the life I never had. I paid for college, the wedding, the house, the car. I spent my last savings on him, and this is how he repaid me. Now that I have my own money that I do not need to keep being his ATM, he wants to play the victim. The only victim here is me. Michael slammed the broadcast shut, but the damage was already done. In less than an hour, clips of the broadcast were circulating throughout the city. Neighbors, who previously greeted him, now pointed at him with contempt. The store where Linda had worked issued a statement saying she had been fired for representing values contrary to the family business. My phone would not stop ringing.
Reporters, television programs, even entertainment show producers wanted to interview me. The story had transcended local borders and was becoming a national phenomenon. That night, I decided to cancel the press conference I had planned. It was no longer necessary. The live broadcast had achieved more than any formal event could have achieved. The next day, a call from Mr. Harrison woke me up.
"Mrs. Emily, did you see the news? The story appeared on national programs, and they are calling Michael the most ungrateful son in the country. Period." I turned on the television, and indeed, my story was on all channels: morning shows, news broadcasts, entertainment shows. Everyone was talking about the case of the millionaire housekeeper and her ungrateful son. The most shocking thing was seeing they had gotten interviews with my former employers. Mrs. Margaret, whom I had worked for 15 years, was on television defending me.
"Emily is the most hardworking and noble woman I have known," said Margaret in the interview. "She never missed a day of work. She was always worried about saving money for her son. Seeing how they treated her is heartbreaking." Another of my former employers had also been interviewed. Emily sacrificed her whole life for that boy. She worked in 3 houses simultaneously to pay for his studies. We saw her arrive exhausted, but always with a smile, because she knew she was building her son's future. The testimonies continued throughout the morning. My old boss's neighbors, even the grocer on the corner, where I shopped for years, all telling stories of my sacrifices for Michael. But what impacted me most was an interview they did with Mrs. Eleanor's sister, the woman who had left me the inheritance. My sister Eleanor always said Emily was like a daughter to her, explained the woman. The last years of her life, Emily was not just her employee. She was her company, her confidant, her family. That is why she left her that inheritance, because she knew Emily had cared for her with genuine love, not for interest. While watching the news, my phone rang. It was a number I did not recognize. Mrs. Emily, this is Mary Garcia from the Justice for All program. We would like to invite you to our program to tell your full story." During the following days, the invitations did not stop arriving. Radio programs, television, even a publisher who wanted me to write a book about my experience. Meanwhile, Michael and Linda's life was crumbling publicly. Social media had turned them into social paras. Linda could not get a job anywhere because her name was associated with the scandal. Michael had lost several clients in his engineering job because companies did not want to be associated with someone who had mistreated his elderly mother. The bank finally foreclosed on his house. They saw them leave with their belongings in boxes, while neighbors recorded them and uploaded the videos to social networks. The comments were ruthless. "They deserve it. Divine karma. Now they are going to know what it is like not to have mom." 1 week after the viral broadcast, I received an unexpected call. It was Sarah Linda's mother. "Mrs. Emily, please. My daughter is destroyed. Michael is depressed. They are living in my 1-bedroom apartment, sleeping on the floor. Do not you think they have suffered enough? After 1 week, I suffered 35 years. Sarah, they created this situation. They chose to humiliate me publicly. Now they are facing the consequences of their actions, but they are thinking about divorce. Linda says she can no longer handle the social pressure. Is that what you want? Destroying their marriage completely? The truth was, I did not know what I wanted. The revenge had been more satisfying than I expected, but also more devastating. Seeing their public destruction gave me a bittersweet feeling. It was justice, but it was also painful to see the son I had raised with so much love suffer. That night, while looking at the city lights from the terrace of my suite, I reflected deeply on everything that had happened. The revenge had been complete, devastating public. Michael and Linda had lost everything. The house, the job, the reputation, the dignity. But something inside me did not feel completely satisfied. Maybe it was because, despite everything, Michael was still my son. The same boy I had carried in my arms when he had a fever. The same one I had comforted when he had nightmares. The same one for whom I had sacrificed everything for 35 years. But then I remembered his exact words. Paying bills does not make you family. And the satisfaction filled me again. The next day, Mr. Harrison called me with news I did not expect. Mrs. Emily Michael wants to withdraw his defense in the lawsuit. He is willing to accept full responsibility and pay the $100,000 for moral damages. $100,000 with what money he is in total ruin. He says he is going to get a loan, that he is going to sell everything he has left, that he is going to work day and night until he pays it. He just wants this to end. The irony was perfect. The man who had told me I was an ATM was now willing to go into debt up to his neck to pay me. The one who had despised my money was now begging me with his. But then Mr. Harrison told me something that surprised me. He also asked me to give you a personal message. He says he understands if you never forgive him, that he accepts he destroyed the relationship with the only person who really loved him. He says he is not asking for forgiveness because he knows he does not deserve it. He just wants to pay you what he owes and disappear from your life forever. Disappear from my life forever. For weeks, I had fantasized about those words, but now that I heard them, they hurt more than I expected. That afternoon, I decided to do something no one expected. I took a taxi to Sarah's apartment where I knew Michael and Linda were living. It was an old building in a neighborhood I had known very well in my days as a housekeeper. I knocked on the door of apartment 3B. Sarah opened with a face of total surprise. Mrs. Emily, what are you doing here? I came to talk to Michael for the last time. Michael appeared behind Sarah. He looked completely different. He had lost weight, had deep dark circles, messy hair. He looked like a man who had aged 10 years in 2 weeks. Mom, he murmured with a broken voice. I did not expect to see you. We need to talk alone.
We went out to the small balcony of the apartment. The contrast with my luxury suite was brutal. 2 weeks earlier, he lived in a 3-bedroom house and I in a humble little house. Now the positions had reversed completely.
"How are you?" I asked him, although the answer was obvious. "Destroyed," he replied, without trying to pretend. "Completely destroyed. I lost everything, Mom. The house, the job, the friends, the reputation. Linda is going to leave me. She says she cannot handle the social pressure anymore. And all for a December night when you decided to humiliate your mother. I know, and I accept it. I am not here to ask you for compassion or forgiveness. I know I do not deserve them." It surprised me to hear him so different. There was no trace of the arrogance from before, of the superiority, of the contempt. He was a broken man who finally understood the consequences of his acts. "What do you want? Then I want you to know that I understood. I understood what you wanted to teach me. I understood what it feels like to be alone without money, without support, without family. I understood what you lived all these years while I took you for granted." His words sounded genuine, but it was already too late for learned lessons. "I also want to ask you something," he continued. "When I pay the $100,000 of the lawsuit, I want you to consider us completely at peace. That you never have to see my face again if you do not want to. That you can live your life in peace with your money without the burden of an ungrateful son. The burden of an ungrateful son." Did he think that is what he was to me, Michael? You were never a burden. You were my life project, my reason for existing, my greatest pride. That is why it hurts so much that you treated me how you treated me. Tears began to roll down his cheeks. "Mom, I ruined everything. I ruined the relationship with the only person who loved me unconditionally. And the worst is that I cannot blame anyone else. I cannot say it was Linda's fault, or the stress, or the circumstances. It was me. It was I who chose to treat you badly." For the first time in 2 weeks, I felt a pinch of compassion for him. But it was not enough to erase 35 years of sacrifices reduced to manipulation. Do you know what is the saddest part of all this, Michael? That it took lowering everything for you to realize what you had. I know, Mom, and that is why I am not going to ask you to forgive me. I am just going to ask you to be happy that you use your money to live the life you deserve, that you travel, that you spoil yourself, that you do everything you could not do because you were taking care of me. His words moved me more than I expected. It was the first time in his adult life he thought of my well-being without mixing it with his own needs. "And what are you
going to do? I am going to get a job wherever, doing whatever. I am going to pay the lawsuit, even if it takes me years. And I am going to learn to live with the consequences of my acts. In that moment, I made a decision that surprised even myself, Michael.
I am not going to accept the money from the lawsuit.
He looked at me confused. But Mom, I do not need it. I have more money than I can spend in what is left of my life, and I do not want the rest of your existence to be marked by a debt to me. Then what do you want? I want you to learn to be a real man. That you build your life with your own hands without depending on anyone. That you evaluate what you have while you have it. And that you never, never treat someone who loves you badly again. That means you forgive me. I looked him directly in the eyes before answering. That means I release you from the financial debt, or the emotional debt is going to be something you will have to live with for the
rest of your life. I got up to leave, but before leaving the balcony, I turned to him one last time. Michael, for 35 years, I was your mother. From today, you are free to be your own man. Use it wisely. I left the apartment without looking back.
In the taxi back to the hotel, I reflected on what I had just done. I had not really forgiven, but I had released. I had cut the chains that tied me to a toxic relationship. But I had also cut the ones that made me his eternal savior. That night, I called Mr. Harrison to officially withdraw the lawsuit. The next day, I bought a small but elegant house in a quiet neighborhood far from all the painful memories. It was time to start the life I had never allowed myself to have. 6 months later, while drinking coffee in the garden of my new house, I reflected on everything lived. Michael had gotten a job as an engineer in another city. Linda had left him just as she had threatened. He was rebuilding his life from scratch without anyone's help, finally learning the value of independence. I do not regret having adopted him when he was a child. I only regret not having understood sooner that kindness should never be practiced at the cost of self-destruction. At 67 years old, I finally learned that self-love is not selfishness. It is survival.